are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Miseducation and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here at lifestyleradio.ca as well as at 420radio.ca. I'm Al Graham, and today I'm joined by my joint host, Alicia, and she has brought us a guest that helps patients with getting alternative forms of cannabis medicines, plus much more. But first, we're going to talk a little bit of news with Alicia. Hi, Alicia. How are you?
Hey, Al. I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm better. I'm back in the seat tonight here at the front window here at Canada's in downtown Campbellford. Last week, Kim had to go alone. I was dealing with some health issues with my Crohn's, and tonight it's there in the background, but I'm here tonight and doing the show.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. I'm sad to hear that you're feeling unwell, but hopefully with some suppositories, we'll get you feeling awesome.
Well, we'll see. I'm sure we'll be talking about that tonight. I just want to mention that thank Kim for doing the show. It was pretty last minute notice that I gave her, and she had to wing it. So, Alicia, maybe someday I'll do that to you too.
No worries. She probably rocked it, so no worries.
Yeah. Okay, in the news, couple things I wanted to mention. That's just to remind everybody that if you're entering your submissions into the Karma Cup in Toronto, they are due Friday. Friday is the last day to get them in. So if you've got some that you want to enter into that contest, get it in ASAP. I don't know, you're out west, so you won't get a chance to come in and see this event, will you, Alicia?
Unfortunately, no. We kind of have our own version in Saskatchewan, but supposing one day we'll have a grand event like that.
Yeah. Actually, the Saskatchewan Cup or something you guys have out there?
Yeah, I think it's a Prairie Medicinal Cup or something. Something other.
Something along that line, yes. Now, something a little bit different than news. We're always talking about cannabis. We're always talking about patients and, the raids and stuff like that. Tonight I wanted to touch on something that was a benefit economically for our farmers, and there's government control, and that has to do with hemp. I don't know and how it's, there's opportunities in hemp for the farmers. Like right now, when they're growing, it's just basically for their seed, I believe, is about all they can use out of it. But yet there's so many other benefits for other parts of the plant.
Well, so there you go. It's like prohibition and regulation, a match made in hell, right? Because you can only grow this plant for its seed, and all the other abundance that comes from the leaves, the stems, the stalks, it just goes to waste. However, there's different manufacturing facilities that have taken on the risk of making this a hemp product. But unfortunately, we don't have the machines in Canada to manufacture hemp. So that's why you grow it for seed and that's it, which is, a heartbreak. To think about it, we could be manufacturing and exporting hemp all over the world, but we don't because of prohibition and regulation.
Yeah, it says here that every year that farmers are forced to throw away hemp leaves because of government regulation. This stuff's been legal for 10 years here in Canada. And
exactly,
yet,
you could make such beautiful juices that is AKA medicine, and it just goes to waste.
Yeah,
because
the benefits
because of
to
regulation, right?
Yeah, exactly. The benefits to the people, all that, and it's an economic benefit to the farmer. They say it's a control. It's Schedule 2 of the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, so it's controlled. Even though that you can't get, there's no high off it. There's no euphoric feeling off it. So like what?
Well, they
why?
that they needed such strict guidelines to regulate it is so that you couldn't put cannabis amongst your hemp. Well, anyone who knows the psychologic aspect of cannabis and hemp, you'd never want them together because then you create a bunch of I shouldn't say useless, but you create a product that no one's going to want to manufacture, eat, or consume because it's unnatural. You can't grow them together. So the regulation is, you tell me what it is. Like, what is that? Like, it's unneeded, right?
Exactly.
It's reefer madness.
Their association says there's 40 kilograms of cannabis hemp is produced per hectare. And, that could go for a benefit, but yet it's being thrown out.
Not cannabis. You said cannabis. It was hemp.
Well, yeah, actually the article does. The article does say that. I'm reading it out of the article. It does say that. But yeah, hemp. 60,000 acres are produced in Canada each year.
You can't grow like cannabis that yields buds like hemp. Hemp is an industrial thing that goes in a field.
Yeah.
Where cannabis is in a greenhouse. You can't. I guess you could per se, like in very warm climates, and supposing they do in BC, but like specifically in Saskatchewan, I'm not sure about Ontario. But for us, you couldn't grow cannabis in a field. You could grow hemp, so. And the fact that the farmers aren't utilizing that is quite troublesome, especially in Saskatchewan.
We have a few hemp farms. We have a couple of hemp farms in our area.
Export your seeds, right? So if you can only export your seeds, it's not very profitable for farmers to do it, and that's why I allege that Health Canada does that, so that the cotton industry can survive and hemp doesn't. But what fueled one of the wars was hemp, like the uniforms, the ropes. Like hemp is made to last forever. Like you buy a hemp jacket. The only way that you're getting rid of that hemp jacket is if, like, obviously you donate it or you wreck it, because it's going to sustain a lot of wear, tear, and abuse, because hemp is just such a strong plant, and so that's why aren't we making clothes out of hemp? Why aren't we making shoes? We do, but it's such a controlled and regulated sector of the agricultural market that it's it makes you shake your head. It really does.
I've got a really old hemp hoodie. And it's worn out in spots, but the spots where it's worn out is actually where it's not hemp. It's more of where the cuffs are, because they're made with cotton versus the body of the sweater, right? And the hemp wears on. Yeah, I wear it all the time. Keep it nice and warm in the wintertime. I actually had it on there yesterday. Here we are in the middle of summer, and it was pretty cool yesterday here. So. All right, Alicia. Let's move from the news on to our guest. And this time, I'd like to welcome him to the program. And as I mentioned, he's a person who helps patients with getting alternative forms of cannabis, and we're going to talk about that. So I'd like to welcome Stewart Martin to the Pace Radio Show. Hi, Stewart. How are you?
Great. How about you guys?
Well, I'm not... We're awesome, yeah. Not a problem. It's not about how I'm doing, but yeah. Hey, I'm in the chair, so. But and how are you tonight, Stuart?
Right on. I'm doing great. This side of the dirt's a good side to be on. So.
Hey, you're 100% right, man. It's always good to watch the grass grow green instead of the roots getting longer.
Right. Yeah.
All right. What we do here, Stuart, is allow Alicia to get the questions rolling along. I'll jump in along as I see fit, and if it's not till the commercial break, I'll see you at that point.
Sounds great.
Okay, Alicia, over to you.
Welcome, Stewart.
Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it, Alicia.
No worries. We're glad to have you. So I guess I would love to start with you telling us your personal story and how you came to meet cannabis.
Okay, so that happened on a few different occasions over the years, and I guess we'll just kind of start at the beginning. This was back about 2000, 2001, somewhere in that neighborhood. I decided that after my third impaired charge, I should probably think about giving up the bottle. So I did at that point quit drinking, and I was struggling a lot. You know, I was having a hard time with that. So ended up going over to my brother-in-law's, and first thing he did after I told him what was going on is he handed me a joint. And at that point, at that stage in my life, I didn't know anything about cannabis. So my thought was, well, you know, this is not a good thing here, man. Like, what do you want me to do here? You're like, I'm trading one addiction for another, is kind of how I looked at it at that stage. And how wrong I was. So after I kind of got over the anxiety of that issue, I did end up smoking half that joint that night, and it did take the edge off. It got me through that night. So what I ended up doing after that is every day after I was done work, I would come home and I would smoke a half a joint or a joint, and I never struggled with alcohol again. So even today, we can go to a function. I might have a glass of wine, and in most cases, I never finish it. I just don't have the desire to drink. So that was my first positive experience with cannabis.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, for me, it's been a great thing. I mean, you know, I certainly cannabis over alcohol cannabis has not been destructive in my life at all, and alcohol was very destructive in all aspects, and also costly in terms of defending the charges. So it's a great thing.
You know, you mentioned your concern was going from one addiction to another, but in the end, you find out that cannabis is really your gateway out.
Yeah,
you got them.
Yes.
Yeah, you got them right. It's you know, really they are just starting this, but it's gonna come more in the future. Here, they're starting to talk about cannabis in harm reduction circles. So that's a great thing. I think that's an excellent area to use it. My next encounter with cannabis was a lot different. So up until that point, I was smoking, and I was doing okay. I was staying off the alcohol. You know, it wasn't too bad. And then in 2011, I was diagnosed with cancer. So I didn't know that cannabis could do anything for cancer at that stage. You know, I knew it kept me off the alcohol, but I didn't know much more than that. So what I ended up doing is, of course, they wanted to do chemo, radiation, and I went from the oncologist office to my lawyer to give my wife power of attorney because I'm dying, according to these guys. And he said, you know, Stu, I think you ought to talk to this woman I know in town here. She cured her cancer with carrots. I said, well, all right, man, give me your number. I'll talk to her. So I did talk to her, and she said, well, you know, it wasn't quite carrots, but yeah, you need to speak to this other lady. So bottom line is I ended up going to speak with a holistic practitioner, and she corrected the diet end and really made me aware that what we do put in the pie hole has a significant impact on our health. The way she put it to me was, what if we don't get cancer? What if we got it?
Exactly. Bingo. Yes.
So that was an eye-opener. And then she explained, you know, what chemo does and what radiation does to the body. And I made my decision at that point not to do chemo and radiation. Went home and I started online, actually, you know, Googling alternative treatments, and cannabis kept coming up, cannabis oil and Rick Simpson and this and that. So that's what I started doing. I started taking the cannabis oil, and I agreed to let them monitor me for 2 years, and they said that's standard protocol. If you're cancer-free at that point, we'll discharge you. So I went through, I allowed them to do chest x-rays, blood work, and CT scans, and of course, with that, you're injected with radioactive glucose. So we did that for 2 years. At that mark, I went in, and of course, I was cancer-free, and he's scheduling another appointment. And I said, well, wait a minute, you said you would discharge me at that 2 year mark. And he said, well, you didn't take the recommended treatment, so we got to monitor you for another 2 years. And I was, I couldn't talk to him at that point. I was too upset. So I had to go home and think about this for a couple of days, and I ended up writing a letter and discharged myself. And I thought, like, come on, you guys, you know, had I allowed you to put the poison in me for 2 years and been lucky enough to have made it, you would have discharged me. But because I chose a different form of treatment and made it through. You want to continue for another 2 years to put this shit in me? No, I just couldn't do it.
That wasn't the deal. The deal was 2 years, and you got yourself cancer-free, man. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of cancer were you dealing with?
So I had testicular cancer, and what I chose to do is to have the surgery, no chemo, no radiation. Knowing what I know today, I believe had I chosen chemo especially, I'm certain that there would have been a secondary cancer that would have occurred as a result of the chemotherapy. So I think I made the right choice. I mean, I know like 7 or 8 people out this way where I live who have been diagnosed within a year of me before or after with different cancers, and they all chose Western medicine only, and they're all not alive today. So.
Ooh, that's not good. That's not good.
So that's kind of what got me into the cannabis realm, and then I started doing a lot of research, thousands of hours online, and then I went on to take the clinical application of cannabinoids and cannabis as medicine masterclass.
Nice.
So now I help others, and it's a great thing. It's I love going into the office every day.
So tell me more about this class, though. Like, what does this cover? Like, what have you learned?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
It's like, wow.
So basically, you learn the first off about the endocannabinoid system, and that all. Do you want me to tell a little bit about that, or?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So all mammals have an endocannabinoid system, and we all produce cannabinoids internally. So the two that they've identified so far are anandamide and 2-AG. And if we take a look at these cannabinoids that we produce internally, and we compare those to the two main cannabinoids in cannabis, which THC and CBD, we find that they're almost identical. So because of Western diet, mainly, and medications, those two things especially really wreak havoc on the endocannabinoid system, and that causes most of us to be deficient. And then when that happens, all kinds of crazy things go on. Our immune system is compromised, and illness and disease occur as a result of that. So basically, when we don't get enough nutrients, we supplement with phytonutrients in the form of vitamins, and that's no different when we're deficient in endocannabinoids. Now we supplement with phytocannabinoids from the cannabis plant. So basically, we're giving... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So basically what we're doing is we're giving our body what it needs, and when we do that, it knows what to do. I should maybe explain the role of the endocannabinoid system, and that's why cannabis works. So the role of the endocannabinoid system is to bring balance or homeostasis at the cellular level. It plays a role in every single bodily function, and when we're deficient, obviously, it can't do its job, and our body doesn't function as it should. So we charge that up with cannabinoids from cannabis, and away it goes, and all kinds of good things start to happen.
It's like the fuel for our bodies, and if we're not getting that fuel, we end up with autoimmune conditions because we're running cannabinoid deficiency.
Yeah, autoimmune.
Yeah. So it's okay. So you're saying that if you take a pharmaceutical drug, it goes into your body and it damages your body and your endocannabinoidal system, and that's why you get autoimmune disorders? Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Pharmaceuticals play a part. Absolutely. Western diet also plays a part. Really, I guess the four basic things that we shouldn't be consuming. Sugar, obviously, nobody should be consuming sugar. And when I say sugar, we're talking refined sugar. We need sugar, obviously, but we need to get that in the form of berries and fruits. Gluten, that's a big thing. You're seeing all this gluten intolerance. Really, I don't believe that's the cause. If we look at the grains that contain gluten and how they're grown and harvested, they're sprayed. And they're sprayed with glyphosate or some form of that chemical. So what happens when an insect eats a leaf of that plant that's been sprayed is their innards perforate and they die. Well, hello, right? So I don't believe it's the gluten. I believe it's the glyphosate is what the issue is. So that's my take on that.
I agree.
Also, meat's another bad thing, especially red meat. It's just not good. It's really a hard protein to digest, and even if people are concerned about that because they think, well, if we switch to a plant-based diet or mostly plant-based diet, how are we going to get the protein? Well, all proteins are derived from plants, period. So how does the protein get in the cow meat? Well, the cow eats the grass. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's all derived from plants. So there's no issue with that. The other thing is dairy. Dairy's horrific. We all need to get that out of our lives.
Hear that often.
I agree.
Yeah, I hear that often.
You do?
Yeah,
or you don't?
Sorry?
Go ahead, Alicia.
No, I just said like you do or you don't, Al, because you were saying you love dairy or you don't do
No,
dairy.
no. The only dairy I actually do is yogurt. Any of my milk product is actually hemp milk.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. I use hemp milk every morning on my cereal. I don't drink milk.
The harvest?
Yeah, hemp bless.
Yeah.
There's a plug for them. Yeah, the vanilla or just original is fine.
I'm gonna have to try that. So far, I've been using unsweetened cashew milk. And I just use that in my. I use hot hemp hearts. Like I put that in cashew milk and heat that up.
Okay, yeah. I eat the hemp hearts as well, and I use almond milk as a backup if I can't. Because I'm in a small town here, and nobody in this town carries hemp milk, so I can only get it when I go to the city. And you get the bigger places. Yeah. I've never seen the cashew milk, though.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
All right.
So are you into smoothies then? Like, do you do it like a smoothie? Like, do you have a regimen in terms of that?
I don't do smoothies, no. My wife does a lot of smoothies. She loves smoothies.
Oh, nice. And so you said that you changed your diet when you started on a cannabis protocol, is that correct?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, I eliminated the things that we're talking about. For me, sugar was the toughest thing, but I found stevia to be quite palatable, and I had to try a few different brands to get the right one. But it's great. Even for baking, the wife will use agave and even sweeten things with dates sometimes. So yeah, sugar's a no-no. And here's the trouble, right? Everybody's busy, so it's let's stop. We got to go somewhere after supper or whatever the case might be. Let's stop and grab something at A&W or wherever. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. That's gone from our lives because just you can't eat that way if you want to be well. That's the bottom line.
See, that's how I am. Like I cannot have fast food. I'm very finicky when it comes to my food because I experience really bad Steve Johnson syndrome attacks. So I feel like I'm burning inside whenever I come in contact with any chemicals. And cannabis has largely reduced that side effect of taking a lot of Crohn's drugs. I know whether or not meat is organic because my guts tell me. So food is a big important thing in my life, and it's still largely a struggle too because it's for me to eat healthy, it's very costly, or it can be, right? But in the same regard, I guess accessing those good, healthy, nutritious things aren't so easy, and that's really unfortunate.
I would agree it is costly to eat the right way, but so is dealing with illness, right?
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's pay pay the pharmacist or pay the farmer. I would rather pay the farmer and have good, nutritious food.
That's a really good way to put it. It's pay me now, pay me later, and why not pay the farmer now instead of the pharmacist later? Right?
Yeah. We have a farmer's market across the road from our house, and the wife went over and grabbed it. Yeah, she grabbed some beans from the farmer the other day. So we had them over the weekend. So it's nice and enjoyable to have something that way versus out of a. Well, it's been a long time. I don't eat them out of a can anymore, but yeah.
It is. We don't realize how distorted our perception of food is. You go to the supermarket and you buy these genetically modified grains with just loaded with sugar and all kinds of preservatives and chemicals. So you're living on a chemical diet. Like, so to try and live like on a pure, clean, natural, organic diet, like in this day and age should be so easy, but you should see how difficult it seems. Like, I appreciate good, wholesome food. I love fermenting. I love kombucha and water kefir and stuff like that. And I think that fermented food is very good for the body, because oftentimes when you have gut issues, it's because of the imbalance of flora in your guts, because we've been given antibiotics since we've come out of the womb. So our guts act funny. So you need fermented foods like sauerkraut, but traditionally fermented, not with white vinegar, but with just sea salt in the crocks upstairs in Grandma's attic, right? Like, that's traditional food. Like, getting back to those fermented foods, like if I don't have at least 3 bottles of kombucha a day, my guts let me know.
Mm-hmm. The gut plays a huge part in how we're going to be, whether we're going to be well or not, as you know, right? And of course, when our gut flora is off, that's going to affect our ability to absorb nutrients, and on and on it goes, right?
Yeah. And so I guess in terms of like your gut health and stuff like that, I guess that was never an issue then with cancer. Like, not really.
Sorry, say that again. Say that again, Alicia.
I guess just with your health concerns and stuff, you never like experienced the gut part of things per se, or did you like you said you changed your diet? Did that have an impact on your digestive system?
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you how we used to think healthy eating went. So it's Friday night. We don't have to work Saturday, so we'd say, okay, let's not order that pizza tonight. Let's just stop. Let's get everything fresh. We'll make it. It'll be a really good, healthy meal. So here we go to the deli, buy all these deli meats and cheeses and whatever, and go home and make it. Well, we're eating the same crap. We're just doing the work, right? So, yeah. But that was an idea of healthy eating at that point.
Processed foods.
And I think really, to answer your question, I don't think that I don't think I would have had any reason to even consider changing anything had I not been diagnosed.
Mm.
So I think I would have just continued on with what I thought was okay and healthy, which really wasn't. But I don't think I would have had any reason to investigate and research. Why? I'm okay, right? But that's the thing. I mean, we got to talk about prevention rather than waiting until something happens. So in that respect, we should all consume cannabis every day. We should all be eating it.
Well, there's doctors out there that agree with you that they believe it should be a part of our dietary supplement.
Yeah, exactly right. It should be a dietary supplement. Yeah.
Yeah. Because as we were talking about cannabinoid deficiencies and how that can affect illnesses and disease, and if it was part of our daily diet, we'd always be able to keep topped up and, maybe end a lot of illness and costs to the taxpayers.
That's right. And did you know that at one time we did get cannabinoids in our food chain? Did you know that?
Oh.
Was that
animals at one time were fed hemp, okay? So, and that was quite common. So we did get cannabinoids in our food chain. And after the 1937 Marijuana Tax Act, or shortly after, that was all gone. So since that point, I think we've been declining in health as a population.
Yeah. It seems the further we get away from the start of when Prohibition started, there's always more and more illnesses that are coming along. And
yeah, it's nice to see some doctors finally getting it. There are a couple of doctors that I'm aware of that really do get it, and I'm talking locally. I mean, there are a number of great doctors in North America now that do get it, but locally where I live, there's a couple that they just get it, and that's a great thing to see that.
Yeah, that was we had a doctor here who signed a lot of paperwork, and that's one thing he said. If other doctors will look into this, I wouldn't have so many patients coming to me. They could deal with their own patients. All they had to do was look into it.
I think the biggest problem there, well, I can only, I guess, speak for Saskatchewan, but I think the biggest problem here is it's not really the doctors. I think a lot of them are supportive, but they just don't want to deal with what they got to deal with in terms of reporting to the college when they're dealing with cannabis prescription.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think the college is the issue.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. Wouldn't doubt that at all.
Is that something that has changed, that they have to, and when you sign a cannabis prescription, you have to report that to the College of Physicians and Surgeons? Is that correct?
Yeah, my understanding is there's 2 levels. One is 12 patients and one is 20. So at 12, it's a written report. At 20, they have to appear in front of the college. That's my understanding of how it works now. If there's anyone out there listening that knows otherwise, please chime in. But that's my understanding of it now. So, that's a big hassle for these doctors, and no wonder most of them just say we're not qualified or we're not authorized or whatever it is they say.
North America is having a opioid issue. How many patients can a doctor have that they signed opioids to?
As many as they want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's so sad that they put those restrictions on them for cannabis, but yet unlimited on something that has affected the whole North American continent. It's just,
yeah, I think so. We got to go even higher than that. Like we have to go up to the federal level, and we have to look at the pharmaceutical companies' role in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like if you go to the federal level and you look at the task force that they created, I don't believe there's anyone on that task force that comes from the medicinal side in terms of knowing anything about the cannabinoid system or cannabis. They all come from the enforcement side. So and they're going forward under the guise of safety and keeping it out of the hands of our children. Well, I think I'd be more concerned about locking up their liquor cabinets and their medicine cabinets so little Johnny can't get in and get a fatal overdose, right?
Yeah.
I think I should point out that there is no fatal overdose for cannabis. It's impossible to fatally overdose because there are no receptors in the part of the brain controlling respiration. So can you take too much and have a bad experience? You bet, but you can't die.
No. The only way I know you can die from cannabis is through suffocation, and that is having just too much on top of you.
Yeah, or if a big bale falls on your head, yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we've got to go to a commercial break. And we're going to hear some music, a little bit of music from Chief Greenbud and his song, "A Friend with Weed is a Friend Indeed." Then Alicia and I will continue our conversation with Stewart. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show here on lifestyleradio.net and .ca.
Hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
There are times when the whole damn town is dry, and the stash you saved for summer didn't make it to July. I know it feels like forever till the harvests of September. So if you need to catch a buzz, you're welcome anytime.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today, 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, we feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet, www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CTCP Society, or search Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners.
CTCP now operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CTCP.
Man, have you been to Canadays yet? Canadays, Campbellford's premier cannabis culture shop at 19 Bridge Street West. They've got bongs, oil rigs, grinders, and papers. Everything you need for consumption. They've got seeds, soil, nutrients, and dome trays too. Everything you need for cultivation. Get top quality seeds from top suppliers like Canuck, Crop King, and wholesaler Nexus. Canadays. They've got all kinds of awesome cannabis novelties, clothing, and apparel. I know, right? It's a lot more than just a bong shop. Interested in gaining legal access? Canadays can help. They're a PACE information center. You know, people advocating cannabis education. Come by the shop and check it out. 19 Bridge Street West, Campbellford. Canadays. Have your say without saying a word. Canadays.ca.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
You don't have to scrape your bowl, smoke on stems and seeds. I'll share my sack, I've got your back. You do the same for me, don't you agree?
We are back, and we are the Pace Radio Show, and we are live here at lifestyleradio.net, as well as .ca, 420radio.ca, as well as at Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Shoutcast, and I broadcast live pretty well every week from the front window here at Canadays in downtown Campbellford, and I can tell you it is raining outside, and I've got an exclusive 420radio.ca umbrella to get me home, so I'm covered. All right, Alicia, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you guys in your province have like a long weekend to celebrate August? Like here we have civic long weekend for August, and everybody gets the day off. Do you have that?
Supposing we do, I think it's a holiday on Monday.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, it sounds like you do. Sounds like you do. Civic holiday. All right. Well, it sounds like you guys got something similar to what we have here. And on our long weekend, I don't know, Alicia, maybe you want to join me, but I'm going to Freedom Fields Nature's Ranch for their annual Freedom Festival, which is like a throwback to the 60s. There's tie-dyeing, body casting.
I love it.
Crafts and arts, live music. And we're going to do 420 Roadshow from there. 420 crew will be joining in. We'll be talking about cannabis, about the benefits, the history, alternative ways to use it with the people who are festival goers. And I'm sure we'll be talking to some of them, doing some interviews about some of this, because of the tie-dye and the body casting. We'll be talking to them about that. And being that we are a naturist resort, we'll be talking to them about naturism and the stigma around that. Is, because cannabis, we deal with a lot of stigma in cannabis, and naturists do as well. So we'll be talking about that to them. And if anybody's interested, you want to join me at Freedom Fields Naturist Ranch, just go to the website, freedomfieldsnaturistranch.com, and all the information on the event is going to be there. All right, Alicia, tonight we have our guest, Stewart Martin of Cuthberts, Tinctures, and Topicals, and he does other things. And I'm sure we're going to touch on more of that as in the next hour. So where do we want to go on next? Before the show, we were having a hot discussion about suppositories.
Sure, we can get into
so
that.
I guess, yeah, let's go there. Don't worry. I mean, everyone's got one, so
yes, that's right.
It's embarrassing, right?
And actually, ladies have the benefit of have the option of 2 different methods of suppository administration, so we can talk about that too.
Exactly.
Yeah, very true, very true. Okay, so I guess we'll just benefits as far as like. I'm dealing with pain issues in my gut and in my bowel. When it comes to suppositories, is there a chance that could very well help for me to deal with the pain, the one I'm going through right now?
Absolutely. If it's Crohn's related, IBS, that type of thing, though, you certainly should be taking some orally so that you can get some out of the source there. But, there's a couple of really good reasons to take suppositories, and one is the bioavailability is probably the greatest with suppository than any other method of administration. But the other thing is that it doesn't hit the liver on first pass metabolism, which means no psychoactivity.
So I'm not going to get. There's no euphoric feeling with people using suppositories.
Right. The feeling that is reported by most is a feeling of being hugged by a warm blanket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Alicia?
Yeah, for sure. And I was like, it's very curious why you don't get high, but you get this immense pain relief. I love that analogy about the warm blanket for sure.
Yeah, and the reason you don't get high is because it's not hitting the liver, so we're not metabolizing it through the cytochrome P450 in the liver.
So, okay, my only thing is that potentially dangerous though if you're doing that? Should it?
No. Yeah.
Is
there any
risk to
negatives?
doing that? Yeah,
No, I don't see any negatives of doing that at all. I mean, if people are able to do a suppository, that's probably the best method. And let's face it, this medication costs money, right? So if we can do more with less, well, right on. Let's do that. So, for example, I mean, there's all kinds of different protocols, but doing suppository, I mean, I've seen a lot of cases where that's taking care of pain that morphine wouldn't touch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you're right in there at the quick absorption and probably plenty of nerves, too, I would imagine, down through there.
Yeah, you've got about probably 70% absorption, and it's going directly into the bloodstream rather than through the liver. So, I mean, it's a great thing. Not just for pain, but
for other purposes as well.
Absolutely. Even cancer patients. I mean, if we're dealing with someone who is stage 4 and they put an expiry date on this person of 2 weeks, well, we don't generally have the time required to titrate up orally to get to the doses required to create apoptosis. But so then we go rectal and we go suppository 80%, 20% orally. We always want to do some orally.
Now, when people make these suppositories, you hear a lot about decarboxylation and stuff. Is the cannabis that would be infused? I'm assuming they're made with coconut oil.
Well, there's a lot of different ways that people will make them. So you can use cocoa butter, coconut oil. Some people use, and that'll be done in molds. Some people use simply a 0.0 gel cap and the full extract oil mixed with MCT or coconut oil.
So I just made some cocoa butter, just like last night. So something like this, just straight up cocoa butter in a suppository.
So
with that's been infused, obviously, right?
Right. You know, depending on the strength, you know, I mean, if you're dealing with serious pain, you're probably going to be wanting to try maybe 200 milligrams.
Right. Yeah.
Now, you do have some experience with suppository, Alicia. What is your therapeutic dose when it comes to suppository?
Oh gosh, I'm still experimenting. Like there's some, like I've noticed if I don't do a suppository in a day, then because I've been in like 7 car accidents, and so my body aches, right? And I find that the only way that I get like significant relief is by using suppositories and doing yoga, obviously, every day. But I'm still really much like in the learning stage because I just started using them maybe a couple of weeks ago, but I definitely noticed a difference in my body and the way I feel quickly, and I quite appreciate that. So, yeah, I just do a gel cap that way, like with like pure cannabis oil and then some coconut oil.
Sure. So is it dispensed out of a syringe? Is that how you're filling them?
Yeah, for sure.
How much of the syringe would you put in a 0.0 cap?
Well, I usually put like about like from like say 7 to 6.
Oh, okay. So 0.1 is working for you then. Great. That's awesome.
Well, but I guess at one point, how do I know like if I'm overdoing it? Like I feel really good. So can I like up the dose, or should like I'm unclear on dosing. That's why I see I'm still in the research mode, you know?
I think if this is giving you results at the dose you have, what I would probably try is actually to cut back that dose. What you're looking for is the sweet spot. So what works for you, and stay there. So usually when we're doing oral titration, that's how we do that. Is we'll start the patient on a very low dose. For example, we're doing with pain. So we'll start the patient on a low dose, and they'll take it 3 times per day for 2 or 3 days, and then at that point they'll ask themselves, is it enough? Am I getting the therapeutic relief that I'm looking for? So if the answer is yes, then you stay right there. That's your therapeutic dose, and if not, then we're going to add a little more to that until we titrate up to where you're getting the results that you're looking for. And then stay right there. There's no need to go any higher.
So is this something you do once a day or multiple times a day?
Suppository you could do multiple times a day, but it will give you relief for a number of hours. So with pain patients, I think generally twice a day is usually sufficient.
Okay. All right.
And actually for some once a day is fine. What's your
I've been doing in the morning and then before I go to bed.
Okay, yeah, you're doing twice a day, yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And I noticed a difference significantly, for sure. Even in like my guts, like I have bowel sounds now, my guts talk, where before when I was really like sick and unhealthy, like I didn't have any like bowel sounds, and that's important. Like your gut should sound like a washing machine, you know?
Yeah, very important. That's what my doctor has been checking for lately, to make sure that the bowel is making some noise.
Yeah. And cannabis is doing that, and it seems like the pain, like you know how you said you feel like you have a warm blanket put around you when you use suppositories? It feels like someone's just like hugging and kissing my guts. Lack of a better or different analogy, you know, like it feels like they're just like being loved, you know, like there's some healing going on there, which I quite appreciate for sure. Where I've never ever had that feeling going for a scope or ingesting any type of pharmaceuticals. So
isn't that a great side effect from cannabis medicine as opposed to the side effects you would get from pharmaceutical medicine?
Oh, gosh.
Feeling like you're being hugged, I think, is a great side effect.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I guess...
Are you experiencing any side effects from your new medication that you're taking?
The new drug that I take in through intravenously.
Yeah.
I've only had 2 doses. I won't get my third one until 3/4 of the way through August, and then I'm on a 2-month maintenance dose after that. Have I noticed any benefits? I'm going to say some slightly, but the way I understand this drug works is like the last one that I was on, where they have to build it up and then maintain things. And yeah, might be easier just to stick a suppository up the butt.
you really ought to give it a try.
Well, and you know what? Is it? What's a suppository cost?
Well,
what's a suppository cost? Yeah.
If you do it like Alicia does it, it's pretty inexpensive because
pretty expensive, isn't it? Yeah. Well, this new drug that I'm on, $3,756 every 8 weeks.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of dough.
Yeah, it's a lot of dough, man. That's a lot of money. And that has to be, unfortunately, that's being paid for through drug plans as well as taxpayers because have to go on to a provincial program. Whereas, finding success as you did, look how much money you saved your province by using cannabis instead of going through chemo and radiation. That's another benefit of all that.
Why wouldn't you ask for exceptional drug status, though, Al, for them to pay for your cannabis prescription? Doesn't Ontario do that? Under that program where they'll pay for the death drugs.
Yeah, they do, but they won't pay for a drug that doesn't have a DIN number.
Oh, they're still using that.
Now, the DIN number thing. Now, I know some patients have been able to get vaporizers paid through by the provincial plan.
Yeah, I believe the volcano runs that.
Yeah, because that's equipment, right?
Yeah.
But as far as the cannabis plant, nothing yet, man. But yeah, here they'll pay $3,700 for a drug that, well, from the worst side effect I've seen so far is I could end up with a virus in my brain.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's no death or cancer listed, but I could get a brain virus.
You know,
it reminds me of why you're taking that, though. I don't understand that.
Well, it's I've my whole time through as a cannabis advocate, I've always had to use both. Cannabis hasn't always been able to completely deal with my Crohn's disease. I was so close to surgeries and stuff over the years. But I have a doctor who agrees with me that if you take it out, you can't put it back in. So we do whatever we can in order to avoid the surgeries.
Well, that sounds like a pretty good doctor.
So then why wouldn't you try the suppositories? Like you're going to consider surgery and everything else, but you won't put something in your thumb to make you feel better? Come on. It'll change your life, seriously. You won't dread going to have a bowel movement anymore because the pain won't be so excruciating because of those suppositories. You'll thank yourself, and your body will too. We should do a 7-day stint and see how you do after 3 times a day, especially when you're having a flare up or you have inflammation there. You should be almost is that Stewart, in your opinion, can the body accept that? If you were doing suppositories 3 times a day, you couldn't overwhelm the system?
Well, more is not always necessarily better. Are you taking any orally? I
take capsules orally, coconut oil capsules.
And it's the right dose or strain for you, and that's why you're not getting the relief you need. But you should keep looking for it.
And Maybe 2. It's I take them before I go to bed. In the morning I'm fine. I don't have this issue until the afternoon. After I eat lunch, I can eat breakfast, but after I eat lunch, maybe I should make it so I'm having a couple capsules before each meal.
Well, yeah, I think if you're only taking 1 before bed, that's not enough for you.
Yeah, I'm doing 3. So
3 a day?
Yeah, 3 a day.
Any idea on the milligrams that you're taking?
No, unfortunately, no, I haven't figured that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, three a day is okay. What times? So I know you're taking 1 at night, but what other times of the day do you take that?
That's the only time I'm taking them is before I go to bed.
Oh, okay. No, you got to space that out throughout the day.
Yeah, I spread it out, eh?
Yeah.
And if you drink suppositories, you could have lunch and you wouldn't even go to the washroom after you keep that lunch all day.
That may be part of my problem. I'm keeping lunch, dinner, and breakfast all day.
No. I have need that nutrition, right? Like
yeah, and like my small bowel is where it's all infected and inflamed and stuff like that, and it's getting narrowed down. But like I said, I'll up the capsules. I'll spread them out throughout the day. And I have a friend here at Lifestyle Radio who I can contact about getting some suppositories.
Right on. Yeah, you definitely need some oral intake there as well, for sure.
Yeah. See, I've always been a guy who's always been a heavy smoker, and because of my illness, I try to stay away from those baked goods and everything because I can't eat too much of that crap because it just screws with the system, eh?
Yeah. Well, the first edible company out with healthy edibles is going to just probably take over the market.
I agree. Yeah, it's unfortunate that that a lot of people make those like candies that look like real candies. Like that, as far as I'm concerned, we should teach kids to think that that's poison because like the corn syrup in the real ones and in the marijuana infused ones, like no one needs that garbage, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think that's going to change. I think that will change over time for sure. But it's a matter of educating people as well. And I think even the manufacturers are going to be changing their extraction methods and so on to more acceptable practices.
Yeah, I know the government's always had concerns, like for example, gummy bears, which are really killer for me to eat. Oh. They're worried about the kid. They're worried about the kids are going to be attracted to them and won't be able to distinguish between one that's medicinal and one that's not. So, like, is there something that could be made that's obviously that it's a medicinal cannabis? Have gummies shaped as cannabis leaves?
Well, I don't know. Maybe we could compare this to a really tasty alcohol, right? I mean, why aren't they concerned with that? I mean, is there potential for kids to recognize and make some mistakes in regard to edibles? That potential is there, all right. And I think it's no different. As parents, I mean, people don't just leave their opiates laying around, or they shouldn't. Well, they shouldn't be leaving any of their edibles laying around either, right?
Correct, exactly. And on the alcohol end of things, you look at the commercials that are out there for everything from Pop Shop that's now got alcohol in it, Pop Shop Pops, and
I didn't think that's a valid argument on their part. I really don't. I don't believe that.
No, either do I. How come we're not hearing about the developing brain issues? How come there's no commercial saying, well, alcohol causes developing brain issues? We got to keep it away from people who are under 25. And recently there was a report that came out with youth and contact sports. Maybe we should hold them off till they're 25. We're worried about developing brains, right? Let's not just worry about it with one thing that people are consuming. Shouldn't we be worried about it with everything that people are involved in?
See, here's the thing: is that if there was anybody there with any education on cannabis at all, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But that's the problem with the lawmakers is they don't know, and if they do know, they should be ashamed of themselves, right? So,
Yeah, but it's make work projects, like, to make themselves look as if they're doing something, and it's like all wrong. It's like totally, like, the notion that they carry is just atrocious. Like,
yeah, big time.
You know, like,
Bill Blair has said that, you know, cannabis makes people worse drivers. I'll tell you what, I know from experience with both alcohol and cannabis that alcohol is the one we need to be concerned about. Not cannabis.
The time, you know, your penalties for your impaired driving charges that you had. Somebody driving with 5 nanograms of cannabis in their blood, because to be subject to those same fines, which we had Colton Turner on. Alicia, you had him on there. His daily thing is 35 nanograms a day. He can't even go get a driver's license yet. He's not impaired.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's, you know, they just don't have a clue. They don't.
That's right. Okay, it's commercial break time. Time to hear some more of the Chief, as in the Chief Green Bud, and his song, "A Friend with Weed is a Friend Indeed." And then Alicia and I will continue our conversation with Stewart. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show here at lifestyleradio.net and .ca. And we'll see you in about 5 minutes. lifestyleradio.net and .ca. And we'll see you in about...
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
You'd be surprised how many folks smoke pot. I've known teachers, doctors, lawyers, hell, I even knew one state cop. When they burn their last ones down and their dealers can't be found, you know that they'll call on me, 'cause I'll share what I've got.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
Man, have you been to Canadays yet? Canadays, Campbellford's premier cannabis culture shop at 19 Bridge Street West. They've got bongs, oil rigs, grinders, and papers. Everything you need for consumption. They've got seeds, soil, nutrients, and dome trays too. Everything you need for cultivation. Get top quality seeds from top suppliers like Canuck, Crop King, and wholesaler Nexus. Canadays. They've got all kinds of awesome cannabis novelties, clothing, and apparel. I know, right? It's a lot more than just a bong shop. Interested in gaining legal access? Canadays can help. They're a PACE information center. You know, people advocating cannabis education. Come by the shop and check it out. 19 Bridge Street West, Campbellford. Canadays. Have your say without saying a word. Canadays.ca.
Hi, this is Al Graham of the Pace Radio Show. Are you keeping pace, as in keeping people advocating cannabis education? If you're not, and you're a cannabis consumer, then why not? Others are working hard every day to help educate people about cannabis so you can enjoy your daily 420. Get involved and speak out. Be loud and proud so that you can keep pace. Tune into the Pace Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear about people advocating cannabis education here on lifestyleradio.ca.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck Seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today, 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
I'll share my sack, I got your back. You do the same for me, don't you agree? That a friend with weed is a friend indeed. Yeah, a friend with weed is a friend indeed. That's right.
Well, we're back. Thanks for tuning in to the Pace Radio Show. We always appreciate that. Everybody knows we're broadcasted live at lifestyleradio.ca, but you may not know that we are podcasted as well. Mixcloud, YouTube, other social media such as even iTunes. We're on there as well. Tonight's music by Chief Green Bud. His song, A Friend with Weed, is a friend indeed. I thought I'd let you know that Chief has many, many cannabis tunes that he has written over the years. 4 or 5 albums worth, to tell you the truth. And if you like his music tonight, then I suggest that you check out his cannabis tunes at chiefgreenbud.com. Go there and you'll see his music. Check it out. Tonight's program, we have Stewart Martin of Cuthberts, Tinctures, and Topicals, and my joint host, Alicia Yashishin. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're in the last segment. We got about 20-25 minutes here. Stewart, I'm going to throw the first question at you in this segment. I mentioned Cuthberts, Tinctures, and Topicals. What can you tell us about them, about that company?
Well, we manufacture a few cannabis-infused products. One is a Cuthberts cream. That's been a great success. We're shipping that all over Canada right now. We have a pain bar that we manufacture. We do lip balms. There's a few other things that are kind of in the works here that we haven't released just yet, but basically dealing mainly with topical cannabis products.
Nice. A pain bar. So this is like a, I guess, a bar that would melt down.
Yeah, you know, really, I should have named it Pain Stick because it's like a deodorant stick, and you would apply it just like that.
There you go. Yes. I can picture that for sure. All right, Alicia, have you got any questions for Stewart on his topicals and tinctures?
Okay, so explain your tinctures. Like they're for medicinal purposes. And kind of like the background, like how did you get to tinctures, I guess? Like, why do you fancy tinctures?
Tinctures are really, I would say next to suppository, tincture is probably the best way in terms of bioavailability of the cannabinoids. So, but the other thing is it's a great way for people to titrate up slowly, especially newbies, where you can start with 1 drop and titrate up as slowly as you need to until you get to your therapeutic dose. Works great for older people too, because a lot of the products out there today are dispensed with syringes. So sometimes it's kind of hard, you know, if people are arthritic, that type of thing, it's kind of hard to dose that way. So tinctures are a good option that way. They also take effect quicker than if you were to do oral ingestion. So there's a few really good benefits to doing a tincture. And the tinctures that I use are all MCT oil-based, which is great because that also increases the bioavailability of the cannabinoids.
So your tinctures are made out of the oil, not alcohol, then? That's what I was wondering, whether you made them in alcohol or glycerin, but...
Yeah, I don't like the glycerin. I don't like the glycerin part. My favorite is the MCT, and all the tinctures are made to order, so... we can customize pretty much anything depending on what the people need it for.
Very nice. Custom tinctures. There you go, Alicia. Hey? Now, when it comes to, I guess, making the tinctures and all that, a lot of people, when they're talking about the smoking of cannabis, well, you should smoke indicas for pain, you should smoke sativas if you want something uplifting. When it comes to tinctures, and I guess in suppositories in the last segment, does it matter what it's made with as far as product-wise, which way gives you better relief?
Suppositories, not so much. Tinctures, yes. So they all start with a base of a full extract cannabis oil. And so depending on the strain we use, we can use different strains, again, to get what the people need. And we'll do a full extract there with Everclear and make a tincture. So really the possibilities are endless.
Yes. Yeah.
If we can get the strain, we can make the tincture.
Correct. And I don't know, do you have access to CBD strains, like CBD tinctures? I don't know if they're out there or not, actually, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, there's definitely CBD tinctures. There's a lot of different CBD products. Some are isolates and some are full extract products. I always prefer the full extract product. Isolates and distillates, do they work? Sure, but never as good as a full spectrum product.
Yeah. FICO, fully extracted cannabis oil.
You got it. Yes, that's the one. Yeah.
That's right. That's the one.
Use that. You've obviously done some research. I'll tell you, I much respect to Rick Simpson, but I just don't like the term RSO because that, to me, just indicates the type of solvents that are used in that oil extraction, and I'm not a fan of, naphtha.
Like if you make fecal, fully extracted cannabis oil, you're not Rick Simpson making it, so you're not RSO.
That's right.
You're SMO.
That's right.
But yeah, fecal. That's what we call. That's what I call it here. And I have a patient who makes the fecal, and then they turn around and infuse the coconut oil with it.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. Some people also do a coconut oil extraction where they'll simmer it for hours and hours and hours in the coconut oil to extract the cannabinoids.
Correct. Yeah, for sure. Now tinctures, lotions. You have them as well?
We have the cream. It's cream lotion. It's fairly creamy. It's I don't have a lotion per se in a bottle that way. So we've got the pain stick and the cream.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's that roll-on stick. I've seen them. I've seen them around. Very good. Very good and easy way to apply it.
Well, I'll tell you another thing about topicals. A lot of people are concerned about that too. They don't enter the bloodstream, so you can't get a dirty test.
Right. And do you ever have anybody ask you if you can get stoned off of lotions?
Oh yes, yeah. The answer is no.
Correct. Yeah. But people don't know, people know to avoid peanuts if they have an allergy to it. People know not to blow up a bomb made with gasoline. But you think that, to use a roll-on stick to help with pain issues wouldn't be such a big deal.
Yeah.
Let's see. Lotions. Now, did you guys make all your own lotions and all that there?
Yeah, all of our products are made right in-house here.
Yeah. Now, I made a lotion today. Okay, I made it with cocoa butter. And, I run into situations where, it'll stay nice and hard in the fridge, but leave it outside on the counter for the day and it just melts. Is there a secret behind that in order for it to stay, somewhat hard? Enough that it's workable and doesn't turn into just a liquid mess.
Without going full blown and doing a recipe something like I do, you could try and add some beeswax to the mix.
Beeswax to it. Okay, that'll help stiffen it up. Good. Now, Alicia, have you got any questions? Any more questions on the lotions and topicals and tinctures?
I guess with like the lotions and the topicals and stuff, like what's the most magnificent thing you've seen in using them?
One that really sticks out is a nurse in Calgary who lived, I think she said 3 blocks from work, and she couldn't walk to work anymore because of plantar fasciitis. And so she actually couldn't nurse anymore. She had to do unit clerk. So she tried the cream, and she put it on twice a day for 2 weeks, and then she said she was able to walk to work. It was gone. The pain was gone, and now she uses it just once a day. So that to me, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stories, everything from acne to burns, pain, arthritis type pain. It's unbelievable. I had one person who said he was prone for 18 months, and the cream, he said, was unbelievable. So it's amazing because everyone who orders usually orders more. It's once they try it, they order more. It's very effective.
They wouldn't be ordering something that didn't work.
No, we wouldn't have reorders. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, now not only, how long have you been? This is your company, Cuthberts, Tinctures, and Topicals.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been in business doing this?
Since 2011.
2011. Good. That's lots of experience then. 6 years. Sometimes you can come across those fly-by-night guys, and that's nice when you know somebody's been around a long time. It shows that they've had reliable products.
And initially it was just it was pretty crude. Actually, initially it was it was just friends and family, and word of mouth sort of started spreading, and we were using whatever containers we could kind of get our hands on, and no labels, no testing. It was pretty crude, but we were still having great results, and so now we've come to this. We're actually now a production company and testing and producing. So it's been quite an experience going through the growth.
So you label all your products with an amount of THC and CBDs in it, then?
Exactly right. Yeah. That's really important. We're not quite there yet on the prairies, but if you go to British Columbia and want to market your products there, unless you're indicating that, you're probably not going to be very successful.
Good, because
it should be there. It should be that way.
Yeah, and that was one of the complaints there about a year or so ago, year and a half ago, is that there was none of that stuff, and yet
it's not like the Wild West.
There's no regulation in the cannabis industry, but people are adjusting automatically as required.
Yeah.
All right. And you also do consultation?
Yeah, that's probably my most favorite thing to do.
You talk about patients.
Right now I'm doing I'm working Monday to Wednesday in Regina, and I'm seeing patients of all ages, and even parents bringing children in, old people wanting to get off the medications, and everything in between. And we're seeing everyone from simple pain. Pain's one of the easiest things to deal with. We're seeing pain patients right to cancer patients. And, right now we are currently walking with these cancer patients on their journey. And it's so exciting because, these people have all had expiry dates put on them. And how dare they, by the way, put an expiry date on you? But they've all had that happen to them. And these people are all beating these expiry dates by months, and they're getting better instead of going the way that Western medicine told them they would go. So it's unfortunate that it was the last resort, when they reached for cannabis, because now we're having to heal from the chemo and the radiation and the illness, and it's not an easy task. But we have some people who are they're wanting to live, and they're being aggressive. One of the fellows who came in to Best Buds, where I do the consults there, I didn't even recognize this guy. He came in about I'm going to say 3 months after my initial consult. And we had to go to his home because he was too sick to come in. So while I was at his home, he lost consciousness twice. He had stage 4 diagnosis with stage 4 lung cancer and mets to liver and bones.
Oh.
So it was pretty critical. Like, this guy was, cachexia had set in. He was really thin and frail, and blood count was like 31, I believe, is 31 or 34. So we did the consult. They decided to be very aggressive about it, and he was taking in between 600 and 700 milligram total cannabinoid content per day. And he was doing this every single day, going from a newbie to consuming this per day. I don't know how the guy did it, to be honest, but I guess he had some motivation there. So anyway, his son came in, I think it was 2 weeks later, and I said, "How's your dad doing?" He said, "You won't believe it, Stu. He's out with Mom, and they're buying a stove, and he doesn't have the oxygen on." So to me, that's my payday, man. That kind of stuff, right? So then it was only about 3 weeks ago, so it's been about 3 months into consult. Well, the dad comes in, and he's at the counter dealing with one of the ladies there, and I'm walking from the back up to the front, and I hear him say, "Well, maybe Stu can recommend something." So I looked over and said, "Oh, how you doing?" And I didn't recognize the guy, and I walked over the counter, and then I said, "No, I won't say his name," but I said, "Is that you?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Man, how you doing?" He said, "Man, look at me." He said, I'm eating, I'm sleeping." He said, I'm doing great." He said, "Can't ask for anything more." So, is he out of the woods? No, but I'll tell you what, he's doing far better than he did with any other treatment he's taken.
His quality of life, which is the main thing.
Exactly. Are we going to cure all cancer cases? No, we're not. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But I'll tell you what, even in this particular case, let's use him as an example. Even if we do not win this battle and he ends up losing his life, well, I'll tell you what, what we've done is we've eased the way out, and we've given him, of his last time on this planet, the best quality of life he could ever have.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win either way.
Oh, for sure. Exactly. Alicia, we got a few minutes here. You got a question for Stewart?
I guess, so your cannabis goals, and in terms of legalization, like, what does that look like for you? Does that affect you in any regard, or are you going to keep on trucking regardless?
Well, when a law is created to, simply for corporations to profit, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, I'm not in the picture. I'm not in the mix in terms of legislation, just like dispensaries aren't in the mix. And, these guys got to keep on going too. I think we have to use civil disobedience when a law is unjust. And in my mind, when a law is unjust and immoral, I think to me that law is null and void. And obviously the courts would have something else to say about that. But that's how I feel about it.
No, they agree with you. It's the police. The courts agree with you, Stuart. It's about time that we end this, right?
We got to just normalize this, right? Like, it's been a medicine for a lot longer than it hasn't been. It was taken because of greed, not because it was bad for us. And I mean, let's just get with it, right?
It's been on the planet for thousands and thousands of years, and it's only been the last 100 where it's been a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's only been a problem in their eyes because it would have seriously affected the industries that these people ran and so on.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It has no, and the risks that come with cannabis,
Yeah.
You might feel better.
With prohibition,
I think we're looking at Prohibition 2.0 is how I see it with the existing proposed legislation.
Yeah, many are calling that.
In your mind, do you think that you're going to keep on trucking, legalization isn't going to affect the way in which you view cannabis, and that it should be free, because any regulation and suppression of the government will obviously just create another illicit market, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're only involved because of the cash cow. There's no other reason. They don't need to be involved. Nobody needs the government to tell them how to grow, purchase, consume cannabis, because they don't know a damn thing about it anyway.
Exactly. Or regulate it like hemp. It's unfortunate, and I'm glad you brought that up, Al, because I remember my parents wanted to grow hemp on our farm, And we couldn't because we needed a special license, and they were very obsessive with like contacting like workplaces and stuff to grow it as if it were marijuana. It was so like, the stipulations were so high in the security clearance and stuff, like just to grow a plant on a farm were just outrageous. And we're talking like in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to know
cotton, right? Because it's competition.
I think of like what my parents could have created had that regulation not been there, and it's been like the reason why it's there is like illogical. Like you can't grow cannabis and hemp in the same facility because they would create hermaphrodites. Like cannabis is female, hemp is male. What happens when you put them together? They create a product that you don't want. So to put such a heavy regulation on the poor hemp plant, like it breaks my heart. And I remember shaking my head as a kid. Like even my parents were like, "What is this?" And it's true. And they haven't like lifted that. And supposing they should right now. Mm-hmm. And I hope they do.
Well, even hemp. Well, we can talk about hempcrete. We can talk about an OSB type product made from hemp. We can talk about hemp protein. There's all kinds of things that can be done with hemp.
This snake oil it's got so many uses, eh?
Yeah.
You mentioned why hemp is so delicious. Sorry to cut you off, Al. Is though it repairs DNA. It repairs your DNA. Hemp. So that's why it's so good for you. Like they say that in places where there's like a nuclear waste, if you were to plant hemp, it would detoxify it within a certain amount of time. Like the hemp plant, just like the cannabis plant, is so unresearched, but so mutually beautiful. It's like, it's just brilliant. But
you bring up a great point there, Alicia, about soil cleansing, and that's the one thing that we need to be really aware of is where is our hemp source from, right? Because we do know that it's going to uptake all this stuff, right? So
it can clean the soil, it can clean the air, it can heal humans, but yet it's illegal. It's pretty stupid, if you ask me. Stuart, what's it got to do? Cause a death in order for it to be legal? Like,
people need to start dropping like flies, and then it'll be legal, right?
Correct. Stuart, you mentioned at like consultation and stuff. I guess you mentioned you do your talks with the guys from. What was it? Best Buds? Best Buds. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's where I do the consults.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was just now. Do you have help people with getting signatures in order to get onto the program, or,
sure we do.
Or you do all that as well? Okay. So
that's part of it. The way it's looked at there is that anyone can sell you cannabis. That's a non-issue. But most people need to have some instruction and some education on it. And since getting going, right? So that's what we want to do. We walk with you.
I completely agree with you. There's a lot of people out there who need the information, the education, and it's great. There's people like yourselves and others that get out there and do all that. That's what's really needed. So, okay. Pardon me?
It's called paying it forward. That's why we don't charge for consultation.
You don't, eh? Super. Very nice. Okay, we're down to the last couple minutes. Basically, we're at shout-out time. So we're looking for you to throw a shout-out at a person, place, a thing, a website. We haven't even mentioned where your website is, where people can find you. Anything along that line.
Well, I guess, first of all, you can get me at Cuthberts.ca. In terms of a shout-out, I think I need to shout out to everybody in the grassroots cannabis community who is out there trying to make a difference here. That's the people who deserve the recognition are those people.
Correct. I agree. It's not one person or two people. It's a whole community that's going to make the difference.
Exactly. I mean, all of us are advocating out here, but there's also hundreds of people advocating, in BC and Vancouver. So all of those people deserve recognition because I think we're all in the same fight here, and I think we're all on the same side.
That's right.
And with strong morals and strong values. I shouldn't say morals, but strong values for that cannabis should be without harm. I hope that that's perpetuated within the industry.
Exactly.
Agree. Exactly. Okay.
So education's a big part of it. Let's keep that up. I appreciate you guys doing the show. And thanks a lot for the invite.
Hey, really appreciate you coming on and talking to our listeners. From my understanding, this is your first time doing an interview?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Good. Super. You did a great job. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for popping my cherry.
Oops. All right. You're welcome. Okay. Here's the reminder that everybody waits for at the end of the show. I will be back next Wednesday. Kim Cooper and her guest will be joining me. I'm trying to think who it was offhand. She told me, but of course it slips my mind. You can find us on Twitter at Pace Radio. You can like us on Facebook. We're on Instagram as Pace Radio Show. You can find us online at pace-online.ca. And if you're there, give me a message. Tell me you're looking for some free stuff. I've got all kinds of Treating Yourself magazines. I've got Treating Yourself Expo DVDs with lectures from Dr. William Courtney, Dr. Robert Melmamine, and others. Stuff doesn't get old. It's always good to reuse. Thank yous. Our sponsors, BMA Hydroponics. They're in Belleville, Ontario, bmahydroponics.com. Also to CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler at ccnexus.global. Our producer, the man behind the baggie, Al Rapp of Lifestyle Radio. Plus, Stewart, thank you so much for coming out here and talking to us about Cuthberts, tinctures, and topicals, and suppositories, and telling us your story and how you get started on this. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Anytime we can do this again.
Okay, well, yes, we will have to do that down the road for sure. Alicia, always big thank you to you. If I could, I'd give you a big hug right now, but it's electronic world, right?
Give a big hug on.
Take a suppository. Take a suppository. Get your hug.
Take a suppository and go to bed. That's right. Okay, and the last thank you always, and it's not because of last. It's just it's the biggest group of them, and that's our listeners, and we always appreciate our listeners. That's right. Thank you, everybody, and good night. We'll be talking to you soon.
Good night.
Cheers.
We'll be talking to you soon.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright.